We're good.
Good afternoon. At this time, Lisa Young will take a roll call to see if a quorum is present.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members of the committee, when I call your name, please respond. Walter Bouchard. Michelle Wilson.
Present.
Thank you. Kelly McKenzie. Beverly Chanowski.
Present.
Thank you. Mike Denby. Steve Trussell. J.C. Porter. Dave Berry. Haley Haley Bulencia. Robert Vondenacker.
Present.
Thank you. John Sherrill.
Present.
Thank you. Derek Castaneda.
Present.
Thank you. Ed Stillings.
Present.
Thank you. Ron Gritman. Hondo Judd. Monica Rath. Spencer Camps. Tim Butler.
Here.
Thank you.
Lisa,
Aaron-
this is Monica Rev. I'm here. I just couldn't get my unmute.
Thank you, Monica. Aaron Cooper.
Present.
Thank you. Deb Ferraro.
Present.
Thank you. Rhonda Humbles. Nancy Allen.
Present.
Thank you. Scott Tobias.
Present.
Thank you. Stan Balone.
Present.
Thank you. Kristen Watt.
Present.
Thank you. Tim Connor.
Present.
Thank you. William Loper.
Present.
Thank you. Jonathan Fudge. John Woods.
Present.
Thank you. Mike Chamberlain.
Present.
Thank you. Robert Forrest. Susie Stevens.
Present.
Thank you. Did I miss anyone?
This is Kelly McKenzie, ADEQ.
Thank you, Kelly. Madam Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you, Lisa. A quorum is now present. The meeting of the MAG Air Quality Technical Advisory Committee is now called to order. For those around the table, please turn on your microphone when speaking. For those participating via Zoom, please state your name when making a comment or asking a question. The MAG public comment process allows members of the public to comment on items on today's agenda or on items that fall under MAG's jurisdiction. If you would like to comment at today's meeting, please fill out a white request to speak card located on the information table at the back of the room. If you parked in the garage, parking validators are available on the information table at the back of the room. And if you purchased a transit ticket to come to the meeting, please see staff for a ticket. Hearing assisted devices are available from MAG staff. Agenda item number 2 is a call to the audience. This is the opportunity for the public to comment on items that fall under MAG's jurisdiction that are not on the agenda or that are on the agenda for discussion and not for action. 15 minutes will be provided for the call to the audience agenda item unless the committee requests an exception to this limit. I have not received any request to speak cards for this agenda item. MAG also provides the opportunity for members of the public to submit written comments via the MAG website 1 hour prior to the meeting. Staff, do we have any written comments for this item?
Madam Chair, we received 8 written comments.
Go ahead and proceed with the comments.
Thank you. The first written comment is from Gloria Sager, Scottsdale, Arizona. Begin comment. Regarding EPA mandating air quality standards, Arizona had not achieved ozone levels below 75 parts per billion in 30 years. Even during the 2020 lockdown with reduced vehicular traffic and businesses and churches closed, Ozone levels increased. We live in a valley where Gulf streams and ocean breezes do not prevail and move air around easily. Please oppose any actions that adopt these EPA punitive ozone control measures, which are untenable, will negatively impact our economy and destroy businesses and our quality of life, and essentially be equal to a long-term lockdown. End comment. Comment number 2 is from Peter Anello, Mesa, Arizona. Begin comment. In 2015, the United States Environmental Protection Agency adopted new air quality standards for ozone from 75 ppb to 70 ppb. Most of the ozone in Maricopa County is the result of naturally occurring events or from emissions produced outside of the country, primarily from China. For example, volatile organic compounds, the precursor to ozone, are generally created through reactions to hot climates, wildfires, biomass breakdown, etc. As these high ozone levels occur beyond the scope and control of the citizens of Arizona, it is widely acknowledged that implementing dramatic policies will not result in compliance with the 2015 standards. End comment. Comment number 3 is from Dennis Lyles, Mesa, Arizona. Begin comment. The Maricopa County Ozone Reduction Plan to cut 50% is not technically feasible, and attempts to implement it would cost billions of dollars, destroy our quality of life, and devastate our already fragile economy. This is a pipe dream program conceived by environmental activists that have not lived in Arizona and do not understand the climate issues we face during the harsh summer months. Even the Maricopa Association of Governments admitted that even if 4 million combustion engines were eliminated, it still would not bring Arizona in compliance. Agreeing to adopt these Green New Deal, quote unquote, policies would have disastrous consequences. The ozone level requirement cannot be met, and the Washington bureaucrats know full well this is the case. We need to push back on Washington and negotiate a more reasonable set of ozone standards. End comment. Comment number 4 is from Cherie Anello, Mesa, Arizona. Begin comment. The Arizona governor has broad emergency power authority to declare an air quality state of emergency, referencing ARS 49-465, and quote, may prohibit, restrict, or condition motor vehicle traffic, the operation of retail, commercial, manufacturing, governmental, industrial, or similar activity, operation of incinerators, the burning or other consumption of fuels, the burning of any materials whatsoever, and any and all other activity which contributes or may contribute to the emergency, end quote. This would be a manufactured emergency, as Arizona has grown and thrived for decades under the current air quality conditions. End comment. Comment number 5 is from Karen Guthrie, Phoenix, Arizona. Begin comment. Good afternoon. There has been a lot of political talk at the national and local level about gas stoves and gas appliances this year. I never thought it would actually happen, but then I heard MAG actually included a gas stove ban as a suggested control measure to lower emissions. But just a few weeks ago, a federal court struck down the same thing in California as unconstitutional. If it is unconstitutional in California, it's unconstitutional here too. It's a bad idea anyway. Our gas stoves aren't producing smog or hurting the environment. Your own report shows a minuscule effect on air quality from banning gas stoves, which would be an incredible inconvenience and cost to residents. It should not have been considered in the first place. Will MAG remove this as an option now that the courts have said it is preempted by federal law, a law that gives manufacturers the right to sell certain gas appliances, which implies the right of people to buy those appliances and be able to effectively use them? At the end of the day, these are California-style control measures, and it turns out they are unconstitutional. MAG should prioritize people's freedoms, not push an agenda to transform the way we live to comply with an impossible standard, only to spend more taxpayer dollars in court to lose. And then, with the other hand, the feds will induce smog with more ethanol in our gas. Perhaps MAG, instead of considering California-style control measures that would purportedly reduce ozone, should look at pushing back against the feds for dirtying our air for political gain. And maybe Arizona should revisit having any ethanol in our gas at all. The truth is, any savings at the pump from this will be but pennies in the shadows of the cost associated with the proposed control measures. Please stand up for Arizonans and push back against the hypocrisy of the feds. End comment. Comment number 6 is from Braden Smith, Mesa, Arizona. Begin comment. Hello, I saw the other week that the Biden administration is going to allow the use of additional ethanol and gas over the summer. If air quality is such a problem in Maricopa County, this doesn't make any sense. It is entirely hypocritical because the use of ethanol gas is known to increase smog and ozone pollution. I've been seeing signs on the freeways for high pollution advisories telling me to take a bus or to carpool. We're told by the news and government that emissions cause thousands of premature deaths and that it's killing our environment. You seem to think that is true, but at the same time, you're going to allow the feds to play game to reduce the price at the pump by a couple of cents for political gain at the cost of dirtying our air. On one hand, the feds are threatening we must reduce ozone by an impossible amount in an impossibly short span of time, or we lose funding for our highways, which we already have. See the necessary I-10 expansion that lost out on bucks from Biden for the lack of bike lanes. They will come in and force adoption of measures they choose. I even heard one of your representatives say earlier this year, if we don't submit a plan, California will get to write the plan for us because that's where our EPA director is based. So as the argument goes, we might as well choose our own measures so that the feds don't come in and choose for us. But your list of control measures is basically a carbon copy of what California is already doing. Are you really saying either we quote, choose, end quote, to implement a California plan, or California via the EPA will force us to adopt a California plan? Either way, it's a California plan. On the other hand, the feds will induce smog with more ethanol in our gas. MAG, instead of considering California-style control measures that will purportedly reduce ozone, should look at pushing back against the feds for dirtying our air for political gain. Maybe Arizona should revisit having any ethanol in our gas at all. The truth is, any savings at the pump from this will be pennies in the shadow of the costs associated with the proposed control measures. Please stand up for Arizonans and push back against the hypocrisy of the feds. End comment. Comment number 7, Amanda Gray, Phoenix, Arizona. Begin comment. On behalf of the Arizona Petroleum Marketers Association, I would like to better understand the process of determining what ozone control measures will be selected and whether rule or statutory changes will be pursued. Several proposals have significant cost implications for small business fuel retailers. We would ask to be included in any future stakeholder input opportunities. End comment. Our last comment is comment number 8 is from Brian Eckley, United States. Begin comment. I want to address specifically the EPA's mandate for air quality standards in Arizona and MAG's response and potential solution. In 2015, EPA adopted new air quality standards for ozone from 0.075 parts per million to 0.070 parts per million. Most of the ozone in Maricopa County is naturally occurring events or from emissions from outside of the county. An example of naturally occurring events is volatile organic compounds, a precursor to ozone, such as wildfires or hot climates. These are outside of the control and scope of the citizens of the state and county. Based on my research, Maricopa County has not once achieved an ozone level below 0.075 ppm, not even in the last 30 years. In fact, during the lockdowns from 2019 to 2022, when there were drastically fewer people driving or flying and many businesses were shut down, we did not drop below 0.075 ppm. In fact, we saw an increase to 0.077 ppm. MAG has made statements acknowledging that removal of 4 million internal combustion engine vehicles in the Metro Phoenix area would not bring Maricopa County into compliance. The standards set have not been obtained, nor can they. So what is the EPA doing? They are going to punish the citizens of Arizona if we don't meet unattainable goals. In September of 2022, they reclassified Maricopa County from minimum non-attainment to a moderate non-attainment area for ozone limits under the Clean Air Act. Now, Maricopa County has to meet compliance in order to not face punishment from EPA. In early March, MAG released a proposed list of control measures to reduce ozone in Maricopa County. Of the options they listed, MAG is estimating that residents and businesses need to cut ozone emissions by 50%. Any combination of MAG's proposals to cut ozone will cost the taxpayers of this county and state billions of dollars, destroy our economy, and devastate our quality of life. All of the members of MAG will be negatively impacted by this also. These are recommendations that have been implemented in California, and it is destroying their economy and way of life. People are leaving California in greater and greater numbers. These are impossible standards to meet. I am asking the committee to seriously consider the ramification of these proposals and to recommend against adopting them. Thank you. End comment.
Thank you for reading those comments. Moving on to agenda item number 3. This item is for the approval of the April 27, 2023 meeting minutes. Is there any discussion on the meeting minutes? Prior to the approval, do we have any members of the public who wish to comment on agenda item number 3? I have not received any requests to speak cards for this agenda item. Staff, do we have any written comments for this item?
Madam Chair, we do not.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the April 27, 2023 meeting minutes?
Tim Connor, so moved.
Thank you, Tim. Is there a second?
John Sherrill, City of Chandler, I second.
Thank you, John. We have a motion from Tim Connor and a second from John Sherrill. Can I have a voice vote of those in the room? Those in favor say aye. Those opposed say nay. And those who wish to abstain from the vote say abstain. Now we will do a roll call vote of all members participating virtually, and that will be taken at this time by Lisa Young.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members of the committee, when I call your name, please state your vote. Walter Bouchard. Michelle Wilson.
Aye.
Thank you. Kelly McKenzie.
Aye.
Thank you. Beverly Chanowski.
Aye.
Thank you. Mike Denby. Steve Trussell. J.C. Porter. Dave Barry. Haley Buslancia.
Abstain.
Thank you. Robert Vandenacker.
Aye.
Thank you. John Sherrill.
Aye.
Thank you. Derek Castaneda.
Aye.
Thank you. Ron Gritman. Hondo Judd.
Aye.
Thank you. Monica Rabb.
Aye.
Thank you. Spencer Camp.
Aye.
Thank you. Kim Butler.
Aye.
Thank you. Aaron Cooper.
Aye.
Thank you. Deb Ferraro.
Aye.
Thank you. Rhonda Humble.
Aye.
Thank you. Nancy Allen.
Aye.
Thank you. Scott Tobias.
Aye.
Thank you. Stan Ballone.
Aye.
Thank you. Kristen Watt.
Aye.
Thank you. Tim Connor.
Aye.
Thank you. Jonathan Futch. John Woods. Mike Chamberlain.
Aye. John Woods, aye, sorry.
Thank you, John. Mike Chamberlain.
Aye.
Thank you. Robert Forrest. Susie Stevens.
Aye.
Thank you. Did I miss anyone? Madam Chair, we have 23 ayes and 1 abstention.
Thank you, Lisa. The minutes are approved. Moving on to agenda item number 4. This is the 5% particulate plan for PM10 for the West Pinell County non-attainment area, and the presentation will be by Elias Toon of MAG.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Next slide, please. So we just wanted to give an update on the status of the West Pinal PM10 planning. So just to go over the current state, EPA proposed on February 15th of 2023 to find that the West Pinal PM10 non-attainment area failed to attain the 1987 24-hour PM10 max by the statutory attainment date. I've included a table here from the Federal Register notice that shows the estimated exceedances for the 2020 to 2022 design value. As a reminder, the design value, the form of the NACS is no greater than 1 exceedance when averaged over a 3-year period. So all of the values in that right-hand column that are greater than 1 show that those monitors do not have a design value that's attaining the standard. The asterisk is on there for 2022 because the 2022 data had not been finalized yet. And that's kind of the piece we've been waiting for EPA to finalize this proposed action. And EPA has indicated that they were waiting for May 1st of this year, which is when the previous year's data is finalized. So we expect EPA to finalize that proposal in the coming months. For that proposal, MAG did not submit any comments as it was technical in nature of the air quality monitoring data. There wasn't much for us to comment on. Moving forward, MAG anticipates to be able to submit a revised 5% plan to EPA by December 31st, 2023. And a 5% plan is additional requirement that is required for a serious PM10 non-attainment area that fails to attain the standard by its statutory due date. It's called that because there's an additional requirement for annual 5% reductions until the attainment date. Next slide, please. So for next steps, currently the 2022 MAG West Pinal Serious Area Plan has not been acted on by EPA. And for this next 5% plan, MAG intends to largely repurpose that plan as that plan already shows the 5% annual reductions that are required in this next phase. This relies upon maintaining in the 2017 as the base year, as 2020 is not representative of COVID, as would typically be required from EPA as it is the most recent triennial NEI year. For the 2023 planning effort, we will be focusing on not only meeting the 5% requirements, but also the serious and moderate area requirements that are required, as there is no approved plan for the area for these requirements. We've detailed here some anticipated changes that we intend to make to the 2022 plan. These include removal of things such as the most stringent measures and the extension requests that had previously been built into that plan, as with EPA's proposed and final action that will no longer be applicable. There'll be updates to the commitments that had been included in that plan as those commitments have been promulgated into rules. There will be, as I mentioned before, the inclusion of a new 5% annual reduction demonstration until the attainment year. There may be, we may need to update some of the modeling in the plan, but thus far we haven't found any or received any feedback from EPA that we'll need to, but something that we're keeping our eye on. And then also just following up with our stakeholders in EPA to see if there's any further requested information or changes we need to make to the plan to meet these new requirements. Next page, next slide, please. So we've had some 2 discussions with EPA Region 9. The basis for this is that typically we would use EPA's proposed action on a plan to identify deficiencies. And as I mentioned before, EPA hasn't acted on the serious area plan. So this has been an opportunity for us to gain feedback on potential deficiencies or improvements we can make to the plan that would increase the approvability and the speed at which EPA can approve our plan. Some of the additional information that we have received from EPA has been on items such as the selection of the design days, information on the photochemical modeling for precursors, reasonable further progress calculations, and differentiating between which controls were in place for the moderate area and the serious area plan. Questions on more information regarding the motor vehicle emission budgets, as well as the contingency measures. Next slide, please. We've put together a draft timeline here. As I had mentioned before, the deadline for meeting the 5% requirements that EPA has proposed and we expect to finalize is December 31st, 2023 of this year. So it puts us at a pretty aggressive time frame to meet these requirements. Here we've outlined when we think we'll be able to complete these different planning requirements, such as filling those moderate and serious area requirements, the 5% area requirements, having those documents available for public scheduling the public hearing and taking those documents through the Air Quality Technical Advisory Committee, Management Committee, and Regional Council. Next slide, please. And just as the last slide to go over kind of some of the technical justification, as you can see here, this table lays out the 5% annual reductions that are currently exist within the 2022 Serious Area Plan. So we expect to be using 2017 as our base year and starting the inventory in 2024. We would need by 2026 to have 6,174 tons of reductions, whereas based off the 2017 base year, we'll have 7,152 tons by 2026, which gives us a margin of 978 tons to still meet that. So as you can see in this graph, there is a pretty precipitous drop, which correlates to all the wonderful work that's been done in that area to bring down emissions and implement control measures in that area. And we're going to be able to take credit for that wonderful work that's happened in that area. And so far, we are not expecting to need to have any additional control measures in this plan to meet this additional 5% requirement. Next slide. And that concludes my presentation on that. Thank you.
Thank you for that presentation. Do we have any questions on agenda item number 4? Okay, hearing none. Agenda item number 5, Clean Heavy Duty Vehicle Program Grant Opportunity. This presentation will be provided by Elias Toon of MAG.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Next slide, please. So this is a grant opportunity we wanted to bring to the attention of the committee. And so just as some background, the Inflation Reduction Act of 2022 allocated $1 billion in funding to replace heavy duty vehicles, specifically class 6 and 7 vehicles, with zero emission vehicles, support zero emission vehicle infrastructure, and for workforce development and training. For those of you who may not be as intimately familiar what a class 6 and class 7 vehicle is, I've included a picture over here of the different type of vehicles that would qualify under this grant. This is just a subset. There are more vehicles, but just to give you an idea, class 6 would be generally more vehicles such as school buses or beverage trucks, whereas class 7 vehicles would be larger city transit buses, furniture, or refuse trucks. Based off of that funding that's allocated in the Inflation Reduction Act, EPA has been designing the Clean Heavy Duty Vehicle Program, which is designed to distribute this funding. Next slide, please. So as some further background, EPA will supply these funds not only for the replacement of these vehicles, but also for infrastructure and also to train and develop these workers. And they'll be distributing these funds through 2031. Of that total funding, $400 million of that has been earmarked for communities within non-attainment areas. And EPA anticipates to begin the funding opportunity later in 2023. I've included a picture over here. I don't think it's a surprise to anybody, but there, is multiple non-attainment areas in this region, which would allow entities who apply under this grant to be able to not only tap into the total value, but also have preferential treatment for that $400 million in allocation. Some ways that they plan to allocate this funds are via grants and rebates, and also contracts to eligible contractors. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned before, this program is still kind of in its infancy, and so EPA has been requesting information to help flesh out this program. And so currently the most up-to-date status is that they have a request for information out there. They issued this on May 8th, and they're requesting information related to the availability, performance, pricing, and practical considerations of zero-emission technologies and program development. EPA is inviting manufacturers, fleets, ports, municipalities, school districts, utilities, and other stakeholders with experience in zero-emission technology to respond to the RFI by June 5th. So if there are any members of the MAG committee who Air Quality Technical Advisory Committee who would like to comment on this and provide their expertise and experience with these technologies to help shape this grant program, we encourage you to do so, to have more regional information included in that. If you'd like to keep up to date with this grant opportunity, there is a email sign up on EPA's webpage to keep up to date. We'll also try to keep you updated via this format on any developments in this program. And just to highlight, this program could be used as, we've been talking a lot about ozone reduction measures. This program could be a great way for local jurisdictions and municipalities to leverage programs like this to offset maybe some of the costs that may be incurred to bring down our ozone levels in this region. Thank you. That concludes my presentation, Madam Chair.
Thank you for the presentation. Do we have any questions on agenda item number 5?
Hi, this is Tim Connor, City of Scottsdale. Has this
Go-
information been dispatched to the transportation group as far as the MAG group, as far as transit and whatnot?
We haven't directly conveyed this grant opportunity to them, but that's definitely something we can touch base with them to make sure that they're aware that this opportunity is coming down the pipeline.
Thank you.
Any other questions on agenda item number 5? Okay, thank you. Item 6, update on the EPA Climate Pollution Reduction Grant. And this presentation will be provided by Tim Franquist with MAG.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. This is a quick update on the Climate Pollution Reduction Grant. Last month, MAG did put in to be what's referred to as the lead agency for the phase 1 of the planning grant, which would unlock $1 million to help us develop what's referred to as a primary climate action plan, and then ultimately a comprehensive climate action plan. So right now we're in the application of work plan phase. We're developing that right now. We had a meeting yesterday with the Rose work group just to kind of go through some of the information that we're contemplating. So we're very appreciative of that work group to help us with that. So right now we're finalizing the work plan that's due at the end of this month, May 31st. And then we'll hopefully see funds get awarded sometime this summer. So that's important because the $1 million planning grant that MAG will be working on opens up the $4.5 billion for municipalities in the region to go after a competitive grant. So great opportunity. I think like Elias referred to earlier on the heavy duty diesel program, just another grant opportunity to help with ozone, since the grant does not just impact greenhouse gases, but can be used to reduce other air pollutants, in our case, ozone. So again, just another funding opportunity to help our region. So that's kind of where we're at in a nutshell. Happy to take any questions or feedback.
Do we have any questions on agenda item number 6? I have a question, and maybe you covered it and I missed it, but what's the timeline? I know there's the work plan done by the end of the month, but what happened? What kind of timeline do we have after that?
Madam Chair, I'm going to turn that over to Elias. He's been working much more closely with that.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the timeline after that, the next EPA intends to distribute the funds this summer. So they have a very aggressive timeline for that. And then the next piece, if MAG is able to receive that grant, would be early in 2024 is when the priority climate action plan is due. The comprehensive climate action plan is due 2 years after the award of the grant, and then the status report is due at the end of the 4-year time period. So those are kind of the major milestones of the grant.
Thank you. I would ask that we continue to do updates periodically as we move through this program. Do we have any other questions on agenda item number 6? Okay. Moving on to item number 7, which is requests for future agenda items. Do we have any suggestions from the committee for an item for a future agenda? Okay, hearing none. Business is now concluded. Can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting?
This is John Sherrill, so moved.
Thank you, John. Meeting is adjourned. Have a great afternoon.